A successful businessman, having retired from his business, was looking at seeking some new pastures. He was wanting to learn something new which he hadn't learned before. So after having searched for a few years, he approached a monk. And as soon as the businessman met him, he said, "Sir, I'm willing to learn something new. Can you please enlighten me?" The monk said, "Sure, I would help you." So they both had a cup of tea. And as soon as they had the cup of tea in front of them, the monk started to pour milk, sugar, and tea in it. And he kept on pouring tea, and the cup started overflowing. The businessman was baffled. He said, "Sir, what are you doing? The cup is already overflowing." The monk said, "This is exactly your state of mind right now. Your mind is filled with so many things that I can't fill it with anything new. Forget enlightenment." Now, is this not true for each one of us? I think most of the times we are filled with so many things that we are not prepared to take anything new inside of us. Perhaps that is an opportunity for us to look at. So before we start to learn, we need to unlearn, and thereafter we can start learning something new. One of the most important skills that you need in this case is to listen. Now, there is a huge difference between hearing and listening. When you're listening, you are being very active. You're willing to shed all your judgments, and therefore you're willing to listen with an open mind, not having any preconceived notions. But only listening by itself would not be sufficient. You'll have to listen to people, their thoughts, their ideas, so that you can capture those and create your own ideas. The second thing that you need to do is to observe. Now, what is the difference between watching and observing? When you watch something, you don't have a purpose or an intent in mind. But when you observe, you're watching with a definitive purpose. There are a lot of things happening around us. But when you observe, there are new ideas for the taking. So observation is an important skill that any entrepreneur needs to develop. So after observation, the next thing that you really need to do is to ask. Ask as many questions as you can. Be like a child. A child is never afraid of asking questions, and that's perhaps the important reason why children learn faster and better than most adults. As an entrepreneur, you need to have the inquisitiveness to ask questions. No question is unimportant. Every question will give you a new insight. And as long as you ask questions, you will have the necessary answers. Now, in spite of learning all those things, you also need to give up something. So what do you need to give up? And why is it important for you to give up something? Because many a times we are overfilled, just like the businessman who was filled with so many things. Unless you're willing to be on the side where you need to sacrifice certain things, you cannot gain new things. Let's look at a few examples in this case. Sachin Tendulkar, perhaps one of the best batsmen who has lived in this era. Sachin Tendulkar had to sacrifice so much on the personal front in order to be a successful cricketer. Dr. Verghese Kurian is perhaps one of the most important examples again when we talk about business and entrepreneurial ventures. Dr. Verghese Kurian not only became a successful businessman himself, but he also created an entrepreneurial spirit in the minds of several farmers and got them along in his mission. These people were willing to sacrifice. They were willing to go that extra mile. The question is, are you willing to do the same? Are you willing to give up something before you're willing to take up something? So get back to your dream book. Perhaps it's an opportunity for you to write down some important questions. What is it that you need to take up a new idea? What skills would you need? Are you willing to listen more? Are you willing to observe? And are you willing to ask important questions? And most importantly, what is it that you're willing to give up to achieve something new and better? I hope you find the necessary answers to all these questions. Till then, arise, keep winning.